Gibraltar, a Mediterranean cruise port like no other. We arrived with high hopes for an unforgettable day ashore, but by the time we left, something felt off.
Really not impressed. Next time we come here.
So what went wrong? Join us as we unravel our experience and the unexpected lessons it taught us, plus the usual port details. Of course, I'm Troy, and this is the Port Lowdown. Gibraltar is a British overseas territory, only 2.6 square miles. It sits at the entrance to the Mediterranean, connected to the south of Spain by a thin strip, and within sight of Morocco. Small, but strategically important, this area has seen lots of military history. While English in governance, with its own flavor of pound sterling no less, it's culturally mixed. Some Spanish, lots of British, but distinctly Gibraltarese, if that's a term. While tourists visit the duty-free shops, the obvious and all-important attraction is the Rock of Gibraltar. Part military fortress, part nature reserve, part monkey habitat. Seriously, it's an essential part of any visit here, especially a first one. There's 3 ways to get to the top. Hike, if you're really in shape, drive, if you're on a tour, or get a ticket for a 6-minute cable car ride. Regardless of how, count on everyone gunning for it on port day. Since we had a 3:30 p.m. all aboard, we pre-ordered our cable car tickets online to save time. We just had to get there on the day, which seemed easy enough being so close. Or so we thought. More on that in a few minutes. The port terminal is on the northwest end, facing an industrial area and the whole of Gibraltar town. Sail-ins are pretty amazing pre-dawn. The terminal is right up against the dock, so very little walking is involved. My family decided to wait a bit on ship while I investigated, but we agreed to meet at the cable car entrance around 9:30 for the opening. Seemed reasonable enough with prepaid tickets. The terminal is smallish and pretty standard. Duty-free store, bathroom, lots of seating. The tourist board desk was unoccupied, so folks just kept coming to collect maps. They have mobility scooter rentals. That's pretty hip. Irish Town. Not sure what Irish Town is. The parking lot was small outside, so only the taxi tour vans collected here for their pre-arranged groups, or to sell new ones. Now, the roads on the Rock are very narrow, so only smallish type vans like these can get up there. There's also larger coaches collecting at the next lot beyond this gate. What got my attention was that there was no taxi just for transport, only tours. The shuttle ticket booth was here and took you to the depot at Marketplace Terminus and Castmates Square for a round-trip charge. From there, it's a 25-minute walk to the cable car. See our link in the description for a map. I walked down North Mole Road for about 10 minutes. Sidewalks were in good condition and flat. Okay, well, there is a second gate back here. And you can't get beyond either of them without an official taxi. So if you want something independent, you're gonna have to get beyond that gate and either go to the bus stop, go to the city center, or take the shuttle service to the city center, and then get a taxi or cab, whatever you want to do. They don't really make it that easy. Now, my family, in-laws included, didn't want to spend money on the shuttle, so they walked all the way to Marketplace in 20 minutes. It's a tiring walk for someone with limited mobility. Even with a flat sidewalk and relatively cooler weather in the morning, it was enough for my mother and father-in-law to forego the cable car and stay at Castmates Square. North Mole Road continued for another few minutes with some useful stuff. A caravan food store, pharmacy, and scooter rentals via the Hoppy app. Now, this was also where this roundabout crossed North Mole and Europort Avenue. This is a choice point. You can turn right from here and walk to the cable car entrance in about 35 minutes. See our link in the description for the map. Or you can catch the bus. The bus stop is Albert Rousseau House, just past the roundabout on the left. You'll need the 5 and 10 bus run by City Bus. This company is different from regular city buses, which have their own routes and are government run. See the link in our description, as you can order tickets online if you choose. Or pay on the bus. Buses only take exact cash payment with the driver, either British pounds or euros. No credit cards. If you don't have cash, you could try the Iroquois City grocery store down the block, which also has an ATM outside. You can also stock up on snacks and water if need be, with Beckham on the crisp packages. Welcome to Britain. The driver gave me change, but I had to be careful. I got some small change back in Gibraltar pounds, which are almost identical to British pounds except for the coins reading Gibraltar. Seriously. Outside of Gibraltar, these coins are only a souvenir. So ask for British pounds sterling or euros and change. The bus was very comfortable and air-conditioned, the ride only taking about 10 minutes. I got off at the Boyd Street terminus stop. From there, it was only about a 5-minute walk to the cable car. A few public toilet options were here. Toilets at the Gibraltar Botanic Garden were totally free, open, and clean. They're just to the left of the stairs, so no great effort needed. Besides, the gardens themselves were pretty cool, and a great side visit, with pretty grounds and military trivia games. Just mind the prickly caterpillars. The cable car base station was set to open at 9:30. This is what I saw at 8:45. And this is the line at 8:50, and it would only get worse. I wondered, how early did I need to be here to avoid the lines? One big reason for the crowds? The tickets were not timed. So most people figured, come in the morning. There were two lines, prepaid and ticket purchase. With ticket purchase, one was supposed to buy the ticket, then go out again to stand in the prepaid line for entry.
Since these tickets are not timed, everyone's kind of going into the prepaid line. I'm hearing numbers like an hour, hour and a half before getting in.
But there was no staff outside to control crowds or give any information.
If you stand in line long enough, you hear things. Word on the street is that you got a prepaid ticket standing here, but if you pay for your ticket, you've got to pay for your ticket in the other line. They're letting you through after you pay your ticket. What's up with that, guys? I'm going to try to confirm that, but that's what I'm hearing.
So I waited for my family to arrive, holding our place in line within sight of the street and letting other folks pass. I think I made some fast friends that way. Once in the prepaid line, you were supposed to get a wristband at this window before continuing.
My wife's still waiting for somebody in the ticket office to give us a wristband.
Crowds are being stopped from coming up temporarily as there are too many visitors at the top. None of this was announced or given any status on. No lie, this was pretty bad. I spent over 2 hours total in line. Once in the car itself, it was 6 minutes up. There was a midpoint station as well, which we paused at. At the top, there's a cafe and gift shop. There's an entry booth to the official nature preserve entrance, where your wristbands get scanned. And then you're free to roam. The trails extend in both directions. Now, we got there late, around 11:30, so we decided to make this a quick hike. Too bad, because there's lots of things to check out here. St. Michael's Cave, Great Siege tunnels, World War II tunnels, and actually tunnels were pretty extensive as a military stronghold. I can see why exploring these on your own pace is appealing, if you're up for extensive walking.
I think you're up for the adventure.
We did make it to the skywalk, with a glass bottom and dizzying view. And let's not forget the monkeys. It's the only place in Europe you'll see wild monkeys, in this case Barbary macaques, and they have a long history on the rock, receiving regular feeding and medical care. There's over 300 of them, and they are wild, meaning they need to be treated with respect. You'll see lots of advisory notices at the station and the park itself about, among other things, not feeding them, get a big fine for that, not approaching them, not startling them, and not teasing them. They might also be attracted to the occasional shoulder bag or get agitated by a dog. We saw some tour guides treating them as showpieces, which wasn't kosher. And they come and go from anywhere and everywhere, even showing up among the cable cars. This one advisory, to avoid tight spaces, was funny considering how the roads were like. All the tours use these roads, so they're tightly packed. Sometimes, epically so.
Here comes the line of taxis.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a good picture.
Mixing crowds on foot and mechanics climbing on vans, and it made for an interesting walk back to the cable car. By the way, if you're getting value from this video as an independent-minded cruise traveler, be sure to like and subscribe for easy access to our growing collection of port reports, ship tours, and tips. Once down, we walked back to the Boyd Street terminus stop and took the 5 and 10 bus. Getting off at Albert Risso House, we walked the additional 15 minutes to Castmates Square, the main shopping and dining hub. There were ATMs and toilets there, of course. The Marketplace bus station depot is just outside, and this is where that port shuttle will drop you off and pick you up. You can also, incidentally, pick up the city bus 5 and 10 from here as well, going to or from the cable car. Not much to say about this area. It's duty-free and loaded with other tourists. That and the surrounding area is packed with restaurants of many stripes, some with that distinctive British flavor. But nothing super special or must try. We opted for Thai at the Marina Boardwalk, and it was okay. All said and done, we headed back to the ship by 3 p.m., tired and frustrated. Okay, it's time to debrief. What would we have done differently, especially with a mixed group? Get a tour. Taxis are all limited to tours anyway. You can book ahead of time or try negotiating one at the terminal. For time efficiency, it's really the best way to go. The admission charge to the nature preserve is usually included in the base fare, and you might find 2-hour tours at compatible prices to DIY. Here, independent isn't necessarily the cheapest option, especially when it comes to time and energy spent. If we still wanted to DIY to the Rock, we needed to leave the ship and head over there ASAP, even if it's an hour early. Clearly, lines were forming early, so getting there no later than 8 a.m. would not involve as much waiting as getting there at 9 a.m. That window of opportunity was really narrow. The other reason for doing this early is weather, which gets quite hot by late morning during peak season. Going early also means less crowds and tour vans, less waiting for crowds, and more time to explore on your own. But a guided tour would have been more flexible for our schedule. Anyway, despite its small size, Gibraltar actually needed careful time management to visit the Rock at a comfortable pace. Lesson learned. We had similar time constraints in Dublin, Ireland, for very different reasons. You can see what lessons we got from that experience here. Have you been here? How did you manage your time? As always, drop us a comment.